Next, I'm going to actually talk about how to draw the art onto my gridded drawing paper. Here's how we're going to proceed. You want to make sure your numbers match up. There's nothing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I need to draw, but in panel number 6, you start to see some details. And for some learners, those details can be a little confusing. All we have is a little series of horizontal lines to draw in. So, I am going to line up my art and make sure that when I draw it on there, I copy as exactly as I can the same number of lines, as you can see here. If I want to fill them in, it's not necessarily time to shade it. We're still just figuring out the lines, so keep it simple. Let's go to the next row. Little handle of a knife up here at the top, as you can see, and block number 9. So when we look at my block number 9, we're going to start drawing it in. At this point, I'm only focused on drawing line work. Shading is not a concern. You don't want to shade every panel in perfectly yet because you may make a mistake, and if that happens, it's harder to erase and correct. Next, 10, 11, 12, 13. Not until 14 do things start showing more details. Okay, I move on to the next row. You'll understand that as things progress, it becomes more and more complicated and it becomes harder to focus on one square at a time. So we have this device right here, and all it is a piece of paper with a 1-inch square cut in it. I call it a paper window, and it oftentimes is helpful in helping learners to focus on specific squares. So if I'm having a hard time working on panel number 17, where I've got the hilt of the knife, because I get distracted by all the areas surrounding it, I can take my paper window, set it on top of panel number 17, and it'll help me focus exclusively on that spot. Now when I'm drawing it in, things get a lot simpler for me to observe. This is really helpful when drawing in a grid drawing. You're going to continue this process for the entire image. Start out first, making sure your grid is drawn in correctly at 1-inch squares. If it is correct, count the number of rows in your photograph and make sure they match out your gridded paper. Next, draw in only the line work on your subject. After you complete your line work, then you can apply your value in whatever medium you like. That's everything.